Okay, Facebook, YouTube, welcome to my plant tour 2019. I'm starting it off in my bathroom. And I'm just starting showing, beginning it with this little art wall I have. Kind of just showing that off a little bit because I'm not the best, but I am proud of what I do. Or attempt to do, I should say. Alright, now getting to the plant tour. Right here, this is actually, it's a pure leaf tea bottle. Everyone knows I'm a huge recycling fanatic. I don't like throwing stuff away, so anytime I can find a way to possibly recycle it, I try. So this is just a little green philodendron in here. It's been in here couple months actually, and it's doing, as you see, it's successful. It seems to be healthy. Behind it, this is I think it's a white butterfly arrowhead. Unfortunately, it does have a little browning on it, but it's primarily a healthy plant. I recently just cut it back. As you see, these are all new. So it's making a rebound. I just had it in the wrong spot. It was kind of burning up a little bit. So once I moved it here, it's making a turnaround. This is my little praying man. He's not a black Jesus. He's just, I've always had it any house I've lived at. So just a symbol of hope, I guess. I'm a praying person, so I like having that here. This is a recently potted golden pothos. It's not, I don't know, it's taking a minute to adjust. I just did it a couple days ago, so we'll see where that goes. This is a project of mine. Well, it's more than a project. I've had this particular plant. It's a velvet leaf Mackin Philodendron. I've had it for now 3 years. It used to be a very lush plant, but what had happened is when I moved to Florida, I put it in the sun, and it literally had dropped down to where only 2 leaves were surviving. So I ended up having to cut it in a desperate attempt to save it, and then I rerooted it, and as you see, it is finally coming back. This is a Worthia. My last plant tour, I said it was some form of aloe vera, but that's incorrect. I still don't know the exact breed of it, or the exact species of it, but as you see, it has rounders coming out, so it's doing pretty good. It's surviving. I believe this is called it's a peperomia. I've forgotten exactly what kind. It may be a ruby, something like that. Aloe vera plant. This is what's known as a Teresa silver peperomia, and it's finally sending new shoots out. At first, it was kind of struggling a little bit, so we'll see. I know it's kind of rusty, dirty. That's algae, but this is a recycled McDonald's thing. I'm always recycling things. But look at this plant. It has literally exploded. It's humongous. It's bigger than the mother plant. Over here's my little crazy. Yes, I do have a plant hanging from the shower curtain, unfortunately. But as you see, it is doing very, very good here. These leaves are getting huge. A lot of variegation on them. This is just a typical golden pothos plant, and the variegation it's getting, you would think it's something different. The reason why I have it here, my original idea was I was actually going to have instead of a shower curtain, I was going to have a wall of hanging plants, but it's just too much with the water, so I figured I'll at least put it in this little corner. Now that just have to be good enough for the time being. All right. Moving to another area of my house. It's a corn plant. For some reason, I like plants that have stalks. I don't know why. I actually forgot my yucca cane. I have that in the bathroom. I forgot to show you that. That's another one of my favorites. Prince of Orange, Philodendron. What I like about this plant, look at how this leaf structure, it almost reminds you of like fruit roll-ups, like when you're kids and when you're a kid and you unwrap it. That's how these plants, when they uncurl, it just really resembles a fruit roll-up. And it feels like it is very, very, very smooth and silky. It's just a baby Brazilian philodendron, rooting it. That's a euphorbia, also known as an African milk tree. If you look at it, you'll see it's variegated, but you wouldn't think it is. Let me see here. It's hard to see because the way my house is lit up currently, but that's actually a lighter green than the rest of the plant. That's, I always forget the name of it. A Janet Craig, Dracaenas. I've had that for a while. And this is a mixed potted plant. There's all kinds of stuff in here. Golden Pothos. That's an arrowhead. Marble Queen. This is just a standard green philodendron up in here. And this is a sago palm tree. And it does have, every so often it sends out these shoots, and what they do is they'll come up and then hang over kind of like a feathers, kind of sort of. Ow. This is a Sansevieria. And I actually have a few copies of this because this made babies for me, so I obviously repotted them. This is my mother Brazilian philodendron plant. I have many copies of these all over my house. It's another form of a corn plant. And that's a golden pothos that's in my filter. What they do, they take the nitrites out of it. This is a recently, this is some sort of sword. I just put it there. And this is my recently set up 20-gallon. I believe, is this Jaden? No, it's another Marble Queen Pothos that I had set up. This is the mother plant of that unidentified plant I had in my bathroom. I think they call this a snakeskin Sansevieria, I believe. And this new shoot here that you see, when I first got this plant, it was way down here, and I've only had this thing less than a month, so it's doing really good because it's getting the high light. This is known as I think a green and purple fuzzy wandering Jew. I've had this one for 3 years. It was a gift for a friend of mine. Her grandma had given her literally just a pinch, and we had it in our apartment in Pittsburgh. And then of course it grew to a huge plant. And when we moved, I wanted a piece of it with me, so I pinched it off, and here it is. As you see, I also have a secondary copy growing. Anytime I get worried of a plant that I might lose it or it looks like it's getting sick, I'll just pinch off another copy to replicate it. And there's also one in this little recycled beer bottle. As you see, look at the leaf, all these the roots in here. It is growing very, very, very well. In the back, Chinese dragon. That's a spider plant. Now I'm zooming over here to my terrarium. It's taking a minute to dang, no, it's not focusing. Okay, but anyhow, this is a silver. I thought it was a silver pothos, but to me, it's actually a philodendron. A lot of stores say that it's pothos, but really, it's not. What I like about it, I just like anything that's variegated or has multiple colors in it. I'm kind of attracted to. Another golden pothos. As I told you, I have many of them in my house. This is a marble queen. I'm zooming in on this little spider in here for a hot second, because there's a story to this. Typically, I don't like spiders. I've always been a person that does not like spiders. But since I moved to this particular house, I've kind of changed how I view them, because anytime I put my hand in here to do maintenance, like if I have to trim my plants or anything, this spider literally gets out of my way, literally and figuratively. So I decided he can stay. Like, I'm not worried about killing it or taking it out of there. As long as he keeps doing what he's doing, I will let him stay in there. Song of India, Limelight, Dracaenas. It's actually one of my favorite plants just because of the color of it. It's different. That's a Pilea aluminum plant. Another, this is the baby Chinese dragon. Dracaena marginata, I believe. Could be wrong. I have to get on the floor a little bit. This is a little project I have going on. It's basically like the same thing when you water root a plant, or you just try to propagate it, but instead I just have it in pebbles. And it's a golden pothos, surprise, surprise, green philodendron. That's a marble queen pothos. So once it gets rooted really good, I'll probably take it out, move it somewhere else. This, I believe, could be wrong. I think that's an agave plant. That's in what they oh my goodness, aglonema. Oh my God, Lord forgive me. Either way it goes, it's a Chinese evergreen. Voodoo doll bromeliad. I like it. Look at the colors on that. I'm normally not big on purple for some reason, but this particular one doesn't bother me. This is another agave plant. It's variegated. And then here is my original golden pothos. I've had it since I lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've been down in Florida now almost a year and a half. And I've lived in Pittsburgh for almost 3 years. So do the math. It's been with me for a long time. I've also cut it. As you can see, I've cut it many times to replicate it. Just to give you an insight. Okay, if you remember my first plant tour, for those who have been with me for my journey, I had a golden pothos in my aquarium filter for my 15-gallon. And when I started it, there was only literally 2 leaves on it. And as you look at it, obviously, there's a lot more than 2. A lot more than 2. It has grown tremendously. And it's continuing to grow. That's a new one that's going to unfurl. Eventually, I'm probably going to wrap it up here and just let it do whatever it does. And it's a benefit to your plant, to your tank, because what it does is it takes the nitrates out, the nitrites, and makes it safe for the fish. This is a green philodendron. I would say my mother one because I've split it many times. Every time I cut it, it comes back stronger. That's an Anubias nana plant. If you look at it, that one's, I'm going to show you a different one. It actually bloomed underwater, which is not, I don't want to say it's rare, but it's not really, I guess, not so much of an everyday thing. They claim that it only does that when the plant is, quote, happy. So apparently I'm doing something right in this particular tank. That's a crypt. No, it's not. I think it's some kind of sword. As you see, it has this thing shooting up. And it will eventually, it flowers and it will drop roots, and then you cut it off and make another plant, which is what this is. And that's only been down there for maybe 3 weeks. And there goes one of my Cory catfish. That could be One-Eyed Joe. He got that name because he only has one eye. All right, let's see. Little snail. Then this little floating log, that's a banana plant that's grown in there. It used to be anchored to the ground, but some kind of way, as the plant grew, it just lifted it up in the air, and it never unwedged itself from the ground. So it's just literally growing in the middle of nowhere. My Diefenbacher is called a tropical snow. You see some part of it is just all white. The other part has variegation. It just depends what part of the plant you're looking at. Moses in the bush. It's a form of a wandering Jew. It used to be a lot more illustrious, but I didn't have it in the proper area, so I just recently moved it over here. That's what's known as a moonshine Sansevieria. I love snake plants. And then this is my mother's snake plant. And I pretty much had that one about a year, I believe. I don't believe I had this many plants. I don't know if you guys have been counting, but I had basically around 72, I believe. This is an Enjoy Pothos. This is another Moonshine Sansevieria. It's a baby one. As you see, the new one, it kind of has a different structure to it. For some reason, it's not as solid as this one. Another baby Brazilian Philodendron. I have so many of them, you would not believe it. This is my original Mycan velvet leaf philodendron. Like I say, it had got to a point where it was going to die, and I got scared, so I just immediately cut it, threw it in here, and it's still living. And then the part that I showed you from the bathroom, those were the stalks that came afterwards. I believe this is known as a, oh my God, what do they call this thing? A lemon lime Dracaenas, I believe. Okay, green philodendron. And then there's a pinch of a jade and pearl. That's all that's still left. But I've had this plant almost 3-4 years. It used to be illustrious, but it died off or whatever, so I had to put it here. It came back. It had sent out 2 new shoots, but the 2 have since died. So these are the 2 that's left. And then here's the rest of the green philodendron. It's grown a lot since my last plant tour for those who have been following my journey. It goes way up here. And it's continuing because this just opened. Anytime you see a plant that's really, the leaf that's super shiny, that means it's new and it just opened up. Bird's nest, Sansevieria. I've had that one almost 3 years. And a friend of mine actually just helped me to save it because it was starting to get kind of, didn't look so good. So I repotted it. And then here's my original Enjoy Pothos. So remember, this is a mother plant. That's one of the babies. Then I also have one in the aquarium, and then the one that I had in that little fishbowl type of thing. So I have like 4 or 5 copies I'm trying to replicate. This is my recently repotted ZZ plant. I love it. It's doing very good over here. Peace lily. It did flower for me once, but that was it. I struggle with peace lilies. Everyone says how easy they are, but for some reason I don't do that great with them, but it is still living. This is my original Marble Queen Pothos. And it used to be more illustrious, but when I moved here, it kind of took a hit because I had to readjust to the Florida weather versus Pittsburgh, where it was less sun and things of that nature. So it just changed a lot since I had it. This is another Peperomia. I used to know what it's called. I can't remember right at this very, very, very second. And here is my mother Moonshine Sansevieria. So you remember I had a copy of it. There's one by my aquarium. This is the original plant. Then there's one up there. So I made many copies of it. And this is the one that I almost forgot it. That's why I say I have so many plants up there that I'll be telling the story about one and not even think about the other one. Okay, people, we're beginning this tour where it started, my bathroom. Hopefully you all enjoyed my little plant paradise. There's nothing but plants here. Always doing propagations. I do recycle a lot, so I don't really have no fancy containers. I just drink a lot of tea, so instead of throwing it away, I'm constantly creating new baby plants. I love what I do. It brings a certain amount of peace to my house. I live by myself. No kids, no this, no that. So it kind of gives me something to care for, be concerned about. I get to see growth in it. Because believe it or not, these plants do have a story. You don't just get them and just throw them in the ground. Some do good, some do bad. And you have to really work with them to keep them living. So we're ending the tour where it started. Hopefully you all enjoy it. In the future, I'll do more structured tours and more videos to come. Thanks a lot.